For it must be a Tuesday. Does that make you feel better?
Yes, it does.
Feels
Let's
nice.
go. Come on.
For it must be a Tuesday. All right.
Be better.
Maybe we'll bring it back.
You,
That's the best thing I've got so far.
I still think you should say it's a Wednesday for It's Always Wednesday just to F with people listening and throw them off their week.
I mean, it's
and
one of
think that they're one day closer to the weekend when they're actually not.
It's one of my absolute favorite Office skits is when Jim is able to convince Dwight that it's Thursday or that it's Friday on a Thursday, and then Dwight has to come in super late and gets in trouble for it. It's such a great episode.
Doesn't matter. This is the last day. I'm gonna have to see you this week anyways.
And then Jim goes, huh.
Doesn't say a word.
It's like Dwight thought it was Friday, and Jim was like, we're gonna run with this.
Oh, did you see who was eliminated from The Apprentice last night? Dang it! I missed it. Apparently that used to be on Thursdays. I don't think I watched it.
I don't think I ever watched that show either.
Yeah.
I know that Lil Jon was on it one time.
It hasn't like every famous person been
I
on
saw
it?
a really funny bit. It was like posted on it came up on my Reddit timeline of some guy was trying to convince them how he could turn water into gold. And it was like pulling all of the proteins out of water and then pushing them together and creating gold. And the look on all the judges' faces while he's like literally talking about this $100 million investment of just like, this guy's absolutely insane.
Wait, was that The Apprentice or Shark Tank?
Shark Tank.
Yeah,
it was Shark Tank.
I know
Sorry.
exactly the
Sorry,
clip
those-
you're talking
sorry,
about.
those
No,
shows
it's
are
all
like
good,
the
bro.
Same damn show to me.
No, it was like some weird shyster investor who says like, yeah, I've had over 1,000 patents and inventions to my name. Comes in and he says we can make gold out of water to the sharks, and they're like, no.
You know what annoys me about that show the most is when they have way too much energy, enthusiasm, and animation in their pitch because that doesn't matter.
No.
Like, it's like, wow, great job, guys. That was really good. Okay, so what's your margins? All right. How much money did you make? Like, that's the stuff that matters. Like, don't try to wow me and be all cheesy and give me puns and jokes about your business and make jokes about the sharks and why they need it. Like, because it's going to come down to, are you profitable? Do you make money? What do you need the money for?
Yeah.
Like, cut out the BS here, please. All right. Cut
think
out the theatrics.
One thing that I think is hilarious about that show, Shark Tank specifically, is like we as sports fans, we as sports media.
I do love Shark Tank, though.
We as sports media look at a guy like Mark Cuban as kind of a joke. We laugh at him. He's this really awkward dude on the sidelines. He'll run on the court and yell at a ref and doesn't know much about basketball, but got a title and blah, blah, blah. You know, he's kind of like a joke to us. He is by far the smartest guy on that show.
It's not even close.
It's
either.
not close. Like, it is clear that guy is smarter than everybody else.
Did you see the one where the guys came on to sell
I didn't
air
see it.
fresheners, like car air fresheners?
Oh,
and
really?
they were like customized with like team logos and stuff like that. And in the pitch, they're like, oh yeah, if you want to have a champion hanging from your window, you go with the Golden State Warriors. Sorry, Mark. And they said that to him, and then like
Threw shade at him.
Yeah, and then when they were done, he's like, "I'm out," and they were like shocked, and he's like, "Dude, read the room. Like, you're gonna come in here and make a comment like that? Like, no, I'm good." Like
Opening day, and here's the first pitch, and the season's over.
He was legitimately pissed and salty about that joke, where he immediately was like, "Nope, I'm out."
Look, I just told you that we all like to laugh and make fun at the expense of Mark Cuban. If I'm going in there as current day 39-year-old Patrick and I'm looking at Mark Cuban, I'm like, you know, PJ Washington looks real nice. Even though I don't think PJ Washington looks very nice at all. But I'm
Not
like,
right
hey,
now.
man, you're down 0-2, dude. I think you got this. I am slurping that man to no one's business.
Boy.
There was somebody that called him
Can we pull that, please?
That's a good one. Yeah, I hope I didn't ruin that. I'll see if I can pull that drop. But yeah, there's somebody called him Cubes, and he was out immediately. Like he's
Cubes.
like, yeah, Cubes.
Hey, Cubes, what up?
And he's like, you know what? I'm out just for you calling me Cubes.
Yeah. It's like my nickname when I was younger was like Harry or Lil Harry, you know, because my last name's Harris. And it's like if a stranger would have like, what up, Harry? I'd be like, out. Absolutely, yeah. It's like when I meet people and they're like, "Oh, hey, Pat, it's nice to meet you." I'm like, "I hate you now, forever."
So
my
do you
name,
correct
my name is
them?
Patrick.
Are you,
Eventually,
okay?
there are some people I have met in my life, old friends, new coworkers. You know, I started a new job a couple months ago, and there are some people that do refer to me to my face and behind my back as Pat.
Patty O'Harris.
And it's actually a person by person case. You know, like our brewer, who is a wonderful, wonderful human being. Maybe too wonderful of a human being. You know what I mean? It's kind of like, how many dead bodies you got in your backyard? He'll call me Pat from time to time, and I let it slide. And I've got an old buddy, my old buddy Corey. He'll call me Pat from time to time, and I let it slide. And I don't know why.
Can I call you Rick?
God, no. I would never respond to it. But that's the other thing. It's like, if you call me Pat, I usually don't respond because I don't think you're talking to me. And every
Makes
once in a
sense.
while, I always have to say this. Hey, look, man, I don't really know how to say this without sounding like a jerk, but my name is Patrick, not Pat. And they're always like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. I'm like, look, no. We're fine. I just don't know how to tell this to you without sounding like a jerk.
I mean, I don't really go by Joseph, and that is my legal name. It's just Joe, you know. So,
But
I
I'm a
mean,
firm believer in, like, how do you introduce yourself?
Exactly.
I go Joe.
And I go Patrick.
Maybe I need to be more distinguished and go Joseph.
My best friend goes by his last name. I'm like the only person that calls him by his first name.
Should I go by my middle name now, Harold?
Please don't.
Like here's a great example. Okay,
What's wrong with Harold?
here's a great
Back to
example.
1958.
Prime time with Isaac and Sook. When I first met Sook, I said, "Hey, I'm Patrick." He said, "Hey, I'm Jason. Nice to meet you." And I call him Jason. I always have, always will. I mean, sometimes if we're like sitting around and laughing and joking and things get out of line, you know, I might drop a Sook here and there. But usually when I see him, I'm like, "Oh, hey, Jason, how are you?"
I have been conditioned now to call him Jason because if my girlfriend and I are talking about him or his girlfriend, like, it's weird calling him Sook.
Well,
to
that
to
makes
her
sense. That makes
because she
sense.
knows him as Jason. So now over the last 7-8 months or whatever, it's now become conditioned to just refer to him as Jason.
But I think the first time I met Voldemort, he was like, "Hi, I'm Michael." And I was like, "Oh, all right. You're
No.
Michael."
Oh, threw you off there.
no,
He's like, "Oh, you're Michael."
you're Mike. That's Mike Lynch. I don't think I
That's
ever.
Giancarlo Lynch.
I don't think I ever referred to him as Michael.
Non si può stopparlo.
Yeah.
Just went deep, by the way.
My
I introduced myself to him, and I just said, "Hey, Mike," and he never corrected me. So
my sister-in-law,
That's because he's
or
the nicest guy in the world.
not my sister-in-law,
It's true.
excuse me. My kid's aunt, when we were having Joey years ago,
And I've always called him Joey.
and that's just I don't know how that kind of happened. I think it just kind of stuck as him being a baby and a toddler, just calling him Joey. But she asked one point because they're like, "Oh yeah, we're gonna name him Joseph Harold Fisher the Fourth," and she's like, "Harold, so can we call him Hank?" And we're like, "No, because one, I don't even think Hank is a derivative of Harold. It goes Harold then Harry, and is Hank is a derivative of Henry."
I believe
I
so,
did not
yep.
know that.
Yeah, because Henry Aaron,
Yep.
Hank Aaron, yeah.
Hank
so
Aaron. Yep, Hank.
so yeah, she's like, "Oh, can we call him Hank?" We're like, "No, because that's not Harold." And two, just no, we're not calling our son Hank.
Funny story on this. One of my best friends, Nick, he has a daughter, Charlotte, his firstborn, Charlotte. Just adorable girl. Love this girl to death. Once he told me her name was Charlotte, I said, "Oh, dude, I'm going to call her Charlie for her whole life.
Call her Chuck.
I'm going to call her Charlie."
I love
like,
Chuck.
I love Charlie.
Just
like,
refer to a girl as Chuck.
and Charlie's just this wonderful girl. She's like 4 now, 5 now, something like that. And I just love her to death. And my brother-in-law, my wife's brother, he had a daughter who's Charlotte as well. She is 3, so a little bit younger than my buddy's Charlotte. And I was like, "Hey, have you guys thought about Charlie?" Like, I think Charlie is a super cute name for a girl. You know, I kind of like the male name for a girl. Like, she doesn't have to like be more like tomboy. She could be girly girl, whatever you want. But I kind of like it. And they were like, "You will never call my daughter Charlie." And I was like,
Whoa.
"Wow, okay, all right."
I like to throw a little Hispanic spin on my nieces and
Charlotte.
nephews' names. Scarlet goes by Scarlos.
Scarlos.
And then my
This sounds like a criminal.
my nephew Bennett goes by Benito Santiago.
Benito Santiago, the legendary Giants catcher.
Yes. And then my nephew Alex, who is part Mexican, I just call him Alejandro. So
Alejandro.
I put the
Getting
little spin on
higgy
all
with
of
it.
I don't know what to do with Tatum. That's my other nephew.
Tay-Tay.
Yeah, that's easy.
Tatis.
Ooh, Tatis.
Fernando, yeah.
Yeah, just go Fernando.
Yeah,
Just
not even Tatis.
Doesn't
yeah.
doesn't even come close to it. Yeah.
It's like, Michael, why do you call him Pizza? Well, he's Anthony, but then people call him Tony, and he's kind of fat. So he reminds me of that pizza joint, that Tony's Pizza down the road, so I just call him Pizza.
That's good.
It's like 6 degrees, but for a nickname.
Now I'm hungry.
It's like I call Joe Co.
Now
Joe is Co because Joe Fisher does a radio show with me and he sits next to me and he's technically my co-host, so now I call him Co.
Well, again, it'd be like calling me Hank. It's like, well, his middle name is Harold, and Hank is kind of like Harold because it has an H and an A at the beginning.
And everybody calls him Joe, but my relationship with him is different than everybody else's, so I want it to be special.
Now that's an 80s name right there. Hank Fisher. Nice to meet you.
Isn't that another mnemonic device of Michael Scott's? Like, you can figure out or remember anybody's name by just using something about them. Like, she's pregnant, she's knocked up, Karen. Boom. God.
Like
that's-
Pam would like stop and go, oh, because of this.
It
this
works.
guy." Oakley Dokley, well, we got a baseball show for you tonight. I want to talk a little bit about contract situations in New York and how that's kind of going. Plus, we will make fun of some baseball calls in big situations because that's pretty fun. Plus, there's a couple teams that seem to be fading. Are their players really worth what the back of the jersey says? So we'll get to that, plus fair or foul at the bottom of the 8 o'clock hour. But when we come back, oh boy, I think Joe and I gotta face the music here.
Maybe one of us more than the other, I think. on this
Probably
one.
one of us more than the other. We'll do that next. The Hot Corner, Portland Sports Leader, 1080 The Fan.
It's back, and it's sure to sell out fast.
We are live from the shadows of the historic Fremont Bridge. Vancouver Ford text line 503-864-6326. We'll get to some of those, Rufio, you in a moment. But Joe and I were out at the Pickles game on Thursday.
Yeah,
and,
raise the chair. Let's go.
Raise the chair, which is so awesome. I thought we'll get to that.
All of it's awesome.
But tonight, if you are out at the Pickles game, or if you're on your way to the Pickles game, or if you live in the neighborhood and you want to get there at the end after the game,
I can't believe they're doing this.
a member of the Pickles is performing a real 70-foot motorcycle jump on the field after the game. It kind of makes me want to get done with this show like now and ball my booty down there to go see it.
They have their own Evil Knievel.
Apparently, he's a
Holy
player
yes.
on the team.
Wow.
That guy's from Idaho.
As one
he
fearless
is.
pickle,
That guy's from Idaho.
it says in the email here, brace yourselves as one fearless pickles member takes on the impossible, mind-blowing 70-foot jump that'll have your heart pounding and the crowd roaring. It's a night of pure, unadulterated excitement you won't want to miss.
And in 3 hours, I get an email saying, rest in peace to that
Dear
young
God,
man.
yeah.
Oh, no,
Tragedy at
no,
Lentz
no.
Park on Tuesday night.
But if
A
you are,
bull jumped out of the stadium.
if you are a fan of 1080 The Fan, you listen to the wonderful show that is every morning from 6 to 9 a.m. Those are our friends Brandon Sprague and Andy Dirt Johnson.
Using the word wonderful loosely.
They are friends of mine. They are antagonists of Joe, and they are co-workers of Jordan. Is this the best way to put it?
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
Yeah. I don't know.
Probably antagonists as well.
Yeah, I would agree.
I just don't know your relationship with them. I'm just teasing.
It's funny.
But apparently they caught the footage of us throwing out the first pitch Thursday at the Pickles game. And yes, I will admit it, okay? My ball hit the dirt. I got out of the infield, but my ball hit the dirt before it got there.
I saw a nasty breaking ball is what I saw.
And the funniest thing about it, and I am not trying to quantify this, I'm not trying to stick up for myself. Whoa, but, no. I felt great going out there. I felt really fantastic. I was like, look, I'm not going to put a bunch of cheese on it. I'm just going to throw the ball, wave to the crowd. My kids were there. My wife was there. We were having a good old time.
I was nervous if I put too much heat on it, I'm sailing it over the top.
Over the top.
Or I'm putting it in the dirt and it like skips up, and then that turns into a problem for the player that's trying to catch it.
And I was thinking none of it. I was like, dude, just throw the baseball, man. You know how to throw a baseball. And I'm feeling good. And Joe and I are kind of giggling on the mound. And
We got to the mound and I was like, whoa, this is a lot further than I remember.
Yeah, and I was like, yeah, it is, but we got this. We got this. And I look at Joe, and Joe goes, okay, you ready? 1, 2. And once Joe said 2, I went, oh, God. And that's when I lost it. That's when I pooped my pants. That's when I had no
Blacked out.
belief in myself. And the ball came out on this rainbow arc. Exactly. And dropped right in front of the guy. And he couldn't make the catch. That's how bad the throw was. Not 50 Cent bad, but not Carl Lewis bad. But, not one of the highlights of my life.
Well, I'm going to give this some time. And as long as this relationship stays well between 1080 The Fan and the Pickles, that maybe we have to have a redemption first pitch next year.
I think we're going to have to.
Because I don't think they'll have us back this year. Maybe we revisit this next May, next June, and be like, hey, caught a little flack for that first pitch. We need to redeem ourselves. We'll put in some fastballs. We'll get it over the plate. We won't give you these moon shots. We will get it straight on the line. Frozen rope right to the gloves this time. Just please, one last chance.
P1 Rufio chimes in. Uncle Patrick bouncing one on the infield grass completely negates the credibility you've built up after all these years on the hot corner. I'm not mad, just disappointed.
Do you want me to read some of the Twitter responses that we got?
That sounds fantastic. And Rufio, you know I love you to death, but you're not wrong.
Let's see. Someone said, aren't they supposed to throw it to the mitts? And then someone put literally a 5 bullet point breakdown. Wow, so much to unpack here. 1, terrible throws. I don't care how you slice it. You can't bounce it to home plate. Someone commented on the flip-flops, and
Nice.
and
I'm
they
wearing
s-
flips right now.
well, they said Auto L, and I was like, I don't think they know Patrick very
Yeah,
well.
yeah.
And I was
flips
like,
are alive.
honestly, seeing you in flip-flops at the same wasn't shocked at all.
No, shouldn't be.
Yeah. 3, C-. 4, do better next time. 5, will there ever be a next time? And that's where I'm like, okay, all right, we'll see about this. We'll see. We'll see if we have a redemption arc here. Let's see. I responded to Dirt and Sprague with a video on Twitter, which they then played on air, which then had me
It was a
cursing
little
on air.
NSFW.
You got to listen to the audio, guys. You got to listen to it through. And they claimed that I threw it 14 miles per hour. A pitch has to top 20 miles to get a scuff mark on the ball.
I have a scuff mark on my ball that is currently signed
It's because of
by
that-
like
Dude, it was a
15
nasty
Pickles
curve you
players.
threw, okay?
15 Pickles players because my son decided to go get it signed by every person he could find.
Yeah, in
cool.
that video I said I got the ball to the glove and I'll die on that hill. Dirt and Sprague responded, "Die on the hill could be the name of the pitch you threw."
Oof.
Joe, your pitch will never, should never be critiqued as hard as mine.
I think
I bailed you out, Joe. I was looking out for you.
yeah, I knew what
I
you were
was
doing.
looking out for you, Joe.
I knew what you were doing.
Your reputation is way more important to me than mine.
Sprague was just saying that he was surprised that I come across as the guy that would have taken it like super serious and like full on, pitching
full
form.
wind up.
Yeah, and then someone said like I feel like we needed a warm up session in the bullpen. It didn't seem like the Pickles were going to give us that. They were just
No.
kind of like stand here, wait, and then you'll go out on our signal. Like I don't think there was. Let me get a few throws in here with your catcher, please, if he's not too busy.
Well, they were kind of like, be at the stadium no later than this time. And, I had the kids and it's a weeknight. It's a school night. So we got there kind of early. We wanted to kind of settle in and get them some food. And, daddy wanted a drink. And we just kind of waited. And then we went over there. And I will tell you this, though, Joe. Without a bullpen session that the Pickles didn't give us, outside of that, they were great.
Hey, that
The
was
team was like the staffing team, Spencer the GM, all that stuff. They were excellent. They were a ton of fun and very great to us.
Parker, the GM.
Parker, thank you.
Maybe
That's
there's
what I
a
said.
Spencer around there.
Check the tape. That's what I said.
First
They
class.
did have an employee named Lucky though.
They did.
Yes, and he was
That's
wearing
kinda
Wazoo gear.
Dude, that's got to be such a confident thing. Hey, man, I'm Patrick. Hey, dude, I'm Lucky. And you're like,
Own
no,
it.
you're not.
Own it. Honestly, it reinforces why live baseball is the best live sporting event you can go to.
It truly is.
in any form or fashion.
And they told us that because it was a rescheduled game that there wouldn't be a big attendance. We were like, we assumed there was not a big attendance because we're here and nobody wants to see that. But the Pickles won big. I think we had to leave in the 6th, but
But they hit a dong right before
they
we
hit
left.
a dong
Yeah.
and some runs were scored and we got to, pump the chairs. And I remember, so at the Pickles game, if you're sitting up on the patio bar, which is like some VIP area behind home plate, you sit on these metal stools. And they have a tradition there that if a run is scored and they, play music over the PA, you lift up your chair and you pump it in the air.
Raise
all
the
right?
chair.
Raise
Yeah.
the chair. That's what they do. And the first run scores, and I'm looking over at everybody. I was like, this is the dumbest thing I've ever seen. And then I look behind me, and there's Joe Fisher with his chair in the air, just going, yeah!
Hell yeah.
And I joined it.
Yeah.
It was
by,
a fun night, though.
By the end, you were raising the chair. You were raising the chair.
It was a fun night.
We also got they don't have yardstick beers. They have baseball bat beers, which
No
are
way.
yeah. So they're what were they 24
24
ounces?
ounces,
But
yeah.
they're in the shape of a baseball bat.
Right up my alley.
I wanted one. Joe was really on the fence, and I said, no, we're doing it. You're doing it. We're all doing it.
Yeah, you
Yes.
gotta.
Yep. And then if you bring it back to the stadium, the prices of the beer is 50% off.
And maybe they'll invite us back, maybe.
Well, we do have a team outing there at the end of July. So you're invited. Jordan's invited. All of
Alright.
Odyssey Portland is invited. I sent out the calendar invite, so should have seen that in the inbox at some point.
I do believe
I'll be
10
at the
cent-
old 10B.
I do believe 10 Cent Beer Night was rescheduled to the
It
18th
was.
or 19th as
It
well.
was.
So that's on my calendar. That's for sure.
That's going to be a mess.
So a very nice shout out to Parker, the GM at the Pickles, and the whole team. They were great to us. Walker Stadium is so fun. My kids, who could care less about baseball, walked into that stadium, and when we left, they said, "Can we go back tomorrow?" So a giant shout out to them. I got to meet Joe's lovely lady, and remind myself, that I first met Joe the Fourth, Medium Joe, about 10 years ago, and I'm terrified that he's a full-grown human being.
That he's going to be in middle school next year.
I am absolutely terrified.
I am terrified of it as well.
Absolutely terrified. All right, we come back. Let's dive into some actual baseball that's been going on. Joe and I have been talking today, trying to figure out what's going on. I'd like to get into the contract situation with potentially truly the most valuable player in baseball right now. We'll do that next, but first, there's Schultzy with sports.
Now, from the Fan Sports Desk, a Sports Center update on 1080 The Fan.
First on The Fan, it's U.S. Open week, and huge news coming out of Pinehurst today. Number 8 golfer in the world, Jon Rahm, has to withdraw from the tournament because of an infected sore on his foot. On to the NBA Finals. No games tonight, no Stanley Cup action tonight, but unfortunately the Celtics did get some bad news today as center Kristaps Porzingis diagnosed with a rare leg injury. Essentially, it's a tear or a strain of the tendon on top of the muscle on his foot, making his availability questionable for Game 3 against the Mavericks. Former Oregon Duck and New York Liberty star Sabrina Ionescu officially selected as a member of Team USA. That means she's going to be in Paris for the Olympics this summer. And in baseball, the Seattle Mariners, going for their 3rd win in a row, they host the MLB worst Chicago White Sox tonight. Not going so well, though, in Seattle. 3-1 lead for the White Sox. And that is thanks to a couple of home runs from Chicago. It's bottom 3. The Mariners are at the plate, but they have already gotten one out so far in the bottom of the 3rd. Diaz gave up all 3 runs in the top of the 3rd inning. More sports scores and stories in 30 minutes. I'm Schulte at the 1080 The Fan Sports Desk. Listen live or on demand on the Odyssey app, the Fan's desktop player, or tell your smart speaker to play 1080 The Fan.
The afternoon round of the 10th Annual Fan Golf Classic, presented by Autotown GMC, is sold out. And the morning round is filling up fast. Sign up now to play with 1080 The Fan.
maybe aren't big deals. I haven't heard this, but Joe mentioned this, so we'll get to that. Plus, the most overrated players in the Major League Baseball, anonymously voted on by other Major League players.
Which that's how you know it's
true.
It's true, yeah. It's
So-
not like fans or media. Like when the players are saying this, then I feel like there's definitely some credence to it.
We'll get to that at the top of the 8 o'clock hour. Plus, maybe we'll revisit the London series. I don't know. The Vancouver Ford text line, 503-864-6326. Rufio, one more time. I was going to have Patrick hit my tee shot on 6 at the Golf Classic, but I don't want to have a 100-yard birdie attempt.
Ouch.
Yeah, that is a par 3 that is about like 110 yards.
Deal chimes in with, did Joe yell 500 with the first pitch? That's so great. 500!
Ah, love
I
it.
love
Mystery
that
box!
game. I love that game. I love that game. Infinity!
No, mine was fine. All right. God, see this. We need to make it happen again next year. Redemption.
But getting into some real baseball, over the weekend, there was some really fun, obviously media probably hypes it more than us diehard baseball fans really hype it, but it was still kind of must-watch TV. All the games were nationally televised. Dodgers played the Yankees in Yankee Stadium, and Dodgers took 2 of those 3 games and kind of looked the better team for the most part. Luis Gil, for the 3rd game, did what he does of late and has been great, but it's clear that Dodgers offense is rolling and stuff like that. And it kind of got me thinking, Juan Soto's sitting out with a little bit. He's got, kind of nothing bad, but kind of dealing with a little bit of lingering injury right now. But all reports coming out about Juan Soto and a new contract, as he will be a free agent at the end of this season. And the Yankees clearly traded for him thinking, you play 1 year in New York and you're with us. Hold the brakes on that. It's not quite a Dan Hurley situation, but it kind of feels a little bit like, even at this point where Juan Soto is clearly a huge factor in the Yankees' success right now. Yeah, Judge is healthy, and every time Judge makes contact on a baseball, I'm talking contact on a baseball, it looks like it's going out of the park. So he's playing out of his mind. But Juan Soto, I would argue, is clearly the MVP of that team. And I know you want to kind of play a little sheepish on, I don't know, we'll see, my agent talks, blah, 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 and he wants $600 million or whatever it's going to be. Do you guys think that him kind of playing coy about a potential long-term deal in New York is because he still doesn't know if New York is the place he wants to be?
He may be considering it, but if he is smart and wants the most money possible and he is already a New York legend, it seems like, the way that he started this season.
He's just been unreal. This is the best Juan Soto I've ever seen.
Well, and to quote Mike Lynch, even, he threw out on Twitter a couple weeks ago, he's like, Juan Soto is the perfect Yankee. Like, he fits the swagger of that team and the way that he has played this year.
Always been a clean-cut guy, so it's not like Verdugo where, on Sunday Night Baseball, they're like, do you miss your beard? No, Soto's always been clean.
If you're the Yankees, you are going to give him whatever he wants. If you're Juan Soto, you're going to be a New York Yankee. Like, if you want to keep marketing yourself as one of the top players, if not the top player in baseball, and have opportunity after opportunity on and off the field, you're going to stay in New York. You're going to get a huge contract. I don't care what is coming out of the front office with New York and them saying, oh, we really have to consider our spending.
But yes, on paper it looks like that. But do you think Juan Soto, a guy who was in Washington, won a World Series, went to San Diego, and for some reason that loaded roster didn't work, but Soto was still Soto light, but still a great ball player? Do you think New York is the best place for him?
I think
money aside, because someone's going to pay him.
It's just the way that
he's going to make $500 million.
The way that he has performed this season obviously is great, no matter what team he's on. But there is something about doing it on the Yankees, and especially this season when we weren't sure how good this team was going to be.
I mean,
And he is clearly making them
I put money down at A that they wouldn't win 92.5 games, and I think they've already won 92.5 games.
He is clearly making them a World Series contender.
Without a doubt. And Garrett Cole's right around the corner.
He's coming
and
back.
he looks good.
So I think it is the perfect fit as far as type of player, the team that he's on. I can't think. It's hard to think of like, all right, so let's say it's not the Yankees. Then who?
Yeah, I think that's the big question. It's like the Dodgers are not going to pay for a right fielder.
No, because they're already
like that.
paying $1 billion.
They're not
going to
pay for a right fielder like Juan Soto. I think they'll do the Teoscar Hernandez, Jason Hayward rodeo until they got some prospect they can bring up and play in right field. That's a great question. Would Soto go back to San Diego?
No.
I don't
They're not
think
gonna pay
so.
that.
The Giants, they seem to be willing to go after every big free agent. They went after Bryant. They went after Judge. They went after Correa. Would they go after Soto?
And he's already used to hitting big home runs in their stadium.
But is right field a pain in the ass in San Francisco?
They just
like
spent-
that right field is no joke.
Yeah.
It's monster. It's Fenway monster light.
But just to bring Blake Snell and Jung Ho Koo in, I mean, how much did they spend this year? Already like what?
Jorge Soler.
Yeah, Jorge Soler as
Matt
well.
Chapman.
Matt Chapman.
We're talking 3-4 plus $100 million, and then for one player to turn around and spend $500 million. I think New York's going to be the best place for him because out of all the other teams, maybe Texas, because they've kind of struggled with their outfield prospects. Like, maybe we just need to pay, a young vet like this to come in.
Paging Evan Carter.
Yeah, what the hell? And Wyatt Langford, start playing a little better, kid. You were supposed to be like the guy. But New York is the best place for him. The coyness is literally a money negotiation thing, right? I've heard that, Juan Soto's worth $600 million. He's not. I'm sorry. There is no world, unless he's pitching, just like Shohei Ohtani's going to next year, that he is worth more than... I mean, I even don't think $500 million's happening. I think like 450, sure. But at this point, the coyness, the New York Yankees saying, well, we got to look at the market. This is about like $5 to $10 to $30 million on his contract negotiation.
Well, this is on Forbes.com. Is that, and I haven't read the article. This is just the headline. But MLB execs project $498 million deal will keep Juan Soto in New York. So again, I haven't dove into the article,
For sure.
but a recent panel of 28 MLB executives polled by ESPN projected that the slugger might earn anywhere from $50 million for a single season to $655 over 10 years in his next deal.
See, that's the interesting point. That's what I was going to get after, okay? Because I believe there are only two guys in baseball that make over $40 million a year. I could be wrong on this, but I think these guys, even if there is, if like a Verlander or somebody else is making, short contracts, $40 million, but of long-term deals, I believe the only guys making over $40 million a year in baseball are Mookie Betts and Mike Trout.
So to go a little further in this article, the average of all projections was $482.5 million over 11.6 years. And with the highest and lowest outliers removed, it came to that $498.4 million over 12.4 years.
But $498 over 12 is less money than Mike Trout.
It's $40.4 million.
That's less
annual
money than
value.
Mookie Betts.
Yeah. Highest proportion of panelists, 14 total, indicated that Soto would land a deal in the $500 million to $599 million tier. 3 said the deal would reach at least $600 million.
I understand that contracts are going to go up every year for stars, but we just saw Shohei, a two-way star, get $750 million.
Yeah, Shohei, it's kind of like, with the Stanley Cup finals going on, you talk about great players. Like, there's Gretzky, and then you start talking about everybody else. I think when it comes to contracts in baseball, Shohei is something we've never seen and may never see again. So I don't love comparing guys getting contracts to Shohei.
Okay.
That's why I kind of brought up Trout and Mookie, because that's more realistic. Harper, you can go down the line to Frankie Lindor and Manny Machado, guys that are making over $300 million, Bryce Harper, etc. Shohei can't count.
Well, I'm just wondering if the value's there for that kind of player in general. If this guy that you're saying is kind of the exception to the rule is getting $750 million, then how could somebody even come close to that if they're not offering both hitting and pitching is kind of my point.
But if you look at Juan Soto, boy, he's playing well.
And there is one factor to keep in mind in all of this, his agent. How things gone for Scott Boras' clients over the last year.
Joe, I didn't even think about that.
Yeah, so if there's anybody that could possibly screw this up for him,
It's Scott Boras. All right, that'll be something to watch, especially as the year goes on. I can't imagine Soto signs a new deal. He'll test free agency. He'll do the Judge thing.
he's going to go back to the Yankees. He's going to get an insane deal. I think they're going to hate to do it, but they're the
They're gonna
Yankees.
kinda have
It's
to.
kind of running back like to the Judge scenario a couple of years ago. It's like he is essentially Mr. Yankee at this point.
Yep, Judge is the captain. He is Mr. Yankee.
You have to pay him. And Juan Soto, you brought him over in a trade, and he has exceeded expectations. I would say he was really good last
It
year.
is insane to think that Juan Soto has exceeded expectations.
Quickly off the top of your guys' heads, who do you think Boris is going to find to be the Yankees' other negotiator here, or the evil, like whatever against the Yankees?
I think
here?
usual suspects. I think Dodgers, like they won't be interested, but they'll have a conversation.
Maybe the Cubs.
Cubs, Giants, Rangers.
Sneaky pick, Detroit Tigers.
Oh boy.
No, I'm not
jeez.
saying it's going to happen. I'm saying Boris is looking for anybody in this situation
Yeah.
to
Hey,
compete
if
against
they're-
New York, and
if-
they're going to have it.
I don't know if they're still paying Miggy Cabrera or not, if
They
that money's
probably are.
deferred.
They
But
probably
if not the case, then yeah, maybe a possibility.
All right, when we come back, can you imagine being boring about a huge moment? We'll get to that and have a little fun with audio next. That's the Hot Corner, 10A The Fan.
It's the
Coming up in the second hour, we got Fair or Foul at the bottom of the 8 o'clock hour, as we always do. We'll chime in on the London series. Plus, who's the most overrated player in baseball? Decided by baseball players. I feel like if that was in the NBA, they would lose their effing minds, which is probably why they don't do that. But I'd like to use this opportunity. Now, full disclosure, I have not heard this, okay?
Oh.
I did not watch the game last night, the Mariner White Sox game last night.
No,
I did not watch it.
You missed a roller coaster of emotions.
I
putting it
was
lightly.
having dinner with the wife, and we had, just a nice little night for the two of us. Had some steaks.
I was going to say, what'd you make?
Yeah, I made some steaks and
Nice.
some baked potatoes and some veggies. and
Butter?
we sat outside.
Some
Any
sour
blue
cream.
Yeah. What do you top the steaks with anything?
No.
Okay.
I don't.
Oh, sour cream on the potatoes. What I was
Yeah,
going
yeah,
for,
yeah, yeah.
No, I usually either do a pat of butter, or if my wife and I get really fancy, a little dollop of gorgonzola cheese.
I cook with butter.
Okay.
But I don't. If I go out, I might do a steak that has some fun accoutrements on top.
Yeah.
But when I cook at home, we do it straight
Cast
up.
iron pan.
No, I know. I got to get better. But so I didn't see this, and I was texting with Joe earlier, just kind of saying, hey, what do you want to get into today? I was thinking about this and this and this, and then he hit me with this wonderful Dave Sims audio from last night.
Here's the pitch to Cal. There it is right there. He crushes it. And the Mariners are going home a winner. A 3-run jackpot and big dumper, Cal Raleigh. It's a 7-4 Mariners victory.
What's wrong with that?
The fact that it was a grand slam.
Grand
Are we
salami
just mad
time.
that he didn't say salami?
Well, he said 7. He thought it was two
he's-
runners on base.
He said it was a 3-run jack, and the Mariners win 7-4.
It was an 8-4 win.
Listen, Dave Sims has kind of won some credibility over the years, in
Great
this
hats.
area.
Great hats.
But
Love Dave
dude,
Sims'
like,
hats.
what an epic moment. And like you were saying, in that game, a roller coaster of emotions. And maybe that's what it was. It was just emotions.
He did say big dumper.
But for God's
God.
sakes, man, you're watching the game in front of you. You have one job. Make the correct call.
You are sober. We are not. yeah.
It would have been worse if he was like, break out the bribed and mustard. It's a grand salami 3-run home run. 7-4.
Yeah.
What if he's like, break out the sourdough and horseradish, Grandma?
It's a roast beef 3-run slam. I don't know. something.
So I don't know. And I am indifferent on Dave Sims.
I am too. I have spent a majority of my life listening to Mariner games on radio.
Yeah.
So obviously I'm a Niehaus guy, and I think Rick Riz is still one of the best in the game.
Oh, I love Rick Riz. Oh my God.
So I don't catch TV very often, and if I do, the volume's usually down.
And I don't know. Maybe I'm just being overly critical, and I get it. It's regional, commentators, broadcasters. So of course they're gonna have some biases and lean towards the team they're obviously calling.
Of course.
But I feel like Dave Sims gets a little too excited for a Mariners W sometimes.
Well, did you guys see that the
It's okay to have excitement in the call itself, in the moment, but the homerism sometimes gets to me.
It could be worse. You could be A's fans with that broadcast booth.
Oh, yes.
Did you guys
She's
see?
trying
did you
her
guys-
best,
Did you
okay?
guys see that Dave Sims is a potential candidate to do radio for the Yankees?
not after
anymore.
this.
Yeah.
I did see that story. And honestly, when I saw that story as a diehard lifelong Mariners fan, broke my heart a little bit because I don't want to lose that voice. And I've met Dave Sims, really nice guy. And this was probably a decade ago where he's like, gosh, if the Mariners could just get to the freaking playoffs. So, Joe, you ask, why so much excitement when the Mariners win? Honestly, I don't think he's making that up.
He's not. I mean, he's generally excited. He loves the team,
yeah.
but yeah,
I don't think it's too much because it's coming from a place of frustration and being a true fan. And I guess if you ask me, gosh, Dave Niehaus, I miss him. Rest in peace, Ron Fairley. I loved when he would actually take over for 3-4 innings.
Who's the guy that does it right now for Rick Riz?
You're talking either Aaron Goldsmith or Gary
I'm talking Aaron Goldsmith.
Goldie, yeah.
Goldie, he's been offered full-time jobs, and he's turned it down.
Yeah, he just
because he's waiting out Rick Riz.
Uh-huh.
Because he knows if Riz goes, he'll have that job.
And there's no point.
And he's great. I
Yeah.
mean, he's not Rick Riz, but he's great.
No, there's no point for
He's no
Goldie.
Tom
He can
Hamilton.
just, I mean, he can just do, and I believe Sims does some stuff as well on the side for national, like, or satellite radio. But yeah, Goldie still does Fox games, like on Saturdays. He'll call MLB games. He'll call playoff games for other networks. And I mean, the Mariners have, I guess they've thankfully been one of the teams out of all in baseball that have never really had like a drop in their announcer talent.
No, it's always been fantastic.
But this was, man, I gotta say, God, I love you, Dave Sims, but darn it, you gotta see how many runners are on base
Dude,
there.
I
And
mean,
especially with the grand salami thing. Rest in peace, Dave Niehaus.
It's a walk.
What did I do wrong?
You got two things wrong: the score and the type of home run it was. Like again, it's a walk-off grand slam. You guys were losing 4-0. You come back in the final 2 innings. Like the moment itself was so cool, and it's just like, dude,
And
like way to f that
By
up.
the way, did Scott Service get a little bit of longer leash after that game? He might have been the MVP of the night.
Imagine
no
if Cal
kidding.
Raleigh got tossed, then we might
been.
have
Scott
not have had
Service-
this moment.
Scott Service might have been the MVP last night.
no, he actually came in right when they need. I want to see more of that this
Cal
year.
was ready to lose his S, and Scott was like, no, we need you. I'll go.
Absolutely.
So is
That's
a
a great
call,
manager. Dave Roberts ain't doing that.
is
That's
a
true.
call seeing
Aaron
someone
Boone ain't doing that.
someone on Twitter is jumping on and said he made a small contextual mistake, but the call is still electric. Can the call still be
Hold
electric
on.
if it's
Hey,
wrong?
Hey, let me tell you this. I listened to it and I got done and I said, what the hell's wrong with
Can-
this?
can we all
Because I didn't catch the 3-run. I thought his call was great. I didn't catch the 3-run
If
shot.
it was a 3-run home run.
I didn't, but I knew it was a grand slam going into it. And when you played it, I didn't notice he got the score wrong.
Can we all agree, like, if the Chicago White Sox announcer made the same gaffe, the one that everybody's been giving S to all season? Yeah, that he did the Hank, the Hawk Harrelson impression. Sorry, I have Hank Aaron on the brain from earlier, but yeah, wouldn't we all be giving him S?
Don't
And
we-
I understand Dave Sims has built up some credibility here, but we gotta say, yo, what happened?
Don't we have a new White Sox announcer drop, right, from last week? I could have sworn we put it on there. But we ain't taking that.
We ain't taking that.
Exactly.
We have a choir of him saying that.
Yeah, it's Patrick and I hit it at the same time.
R.I.P. Dave Sims. I guess he's dead. I guess we'll just kill this
Well,
man.
his
and-
Yankees chances are dead.
Yeah.
You can't be doing that in the big Bronx, the big times, all right? Come on.
Yeah, now I know his next job.
There's a drive in a deep left field by Castellanos.
Oh,
It will be
God.
a home run.
He'll be in
Boy.
Cincinnati.
Imagine if that happens to him.
Can you imagine him calling Cincinnati games and be like, that's the best home run I've seen since Ken Griffey Jr. Just holds on to some Mariners stuff.
Gosh.
I don't know if I'm going to be putting on this headset again.
Imagine,
All right.
imagine if he has a hot mic moment.
All right, we have a little fun with Dave Sims, although Dave Sims is phenomenal and fantastic. When we come back, Major League Baseball players voted on the most overrated players in baseball anonymously, plus baseball in England and fair or foul. Loaded second hour. Don't go anywhere. Hot Corner, Today the Fan.
Auto accident? Need a loaner today?
Welcome in the second hour of the Hot Corner. If you're missing the first hour, you can download that at the Fan Podcast on 1080thefan.com, the Odyssey app, or wherever you get your podcasts, including places that end with Chase Utleyify. At the bottom of the hour, we'll get into Fair or Foul, everybody's favorite. We'll do that in 30 minutes. There's the Vancouver Ford text line. Your dollar treats you right at Vancouver Ford. They treat you right before, during, and after the sale. Visit VancouverFord.com. I got myself a Vancouver Ford car out in the lot right now, and they've been fantastic. I absolutely love them. So make sure to check that out, and that text line lets you interact with us throughout the entire show. We're probably T-minus hour and a half from somebody doing a 70-foot jump at Walker Stadium for the Pickles game.
Oh, turn my mic on. You know who threw out the first pitch tonight?
Who?
Danger Aaron.
Let's fight him. I don't know who that is.
Aaron McGeehee from Jackass.
Really?
Yeah, he threw out the first pitch tonight.
Is he local?
Oh, yeah. He's
Well, a lot of those Jackass guys are Northwest guys.
Yes, I don't know
The
if
skating,
he's...
the boarding,
I
the
had
surfing.
no idea, really.
Yes, he is local. I don't know exactly in what context, but yes, he is. He's actually, oh, how about this? Born McMinnville, Oregon.
Hey, get that.
Repping that Yamhill, dog.
I'd love to live in McMinnville.
Went to McMinnville High School. But yes, he is. He threw out the first pitch tonight.
Hey, that's pretty rad, dude.
Why am I not
We're
surprised?
we're as important as stars of Jackass.
Well, no, but we're up there. We're up there. I will say, favorite movie theater experience of my life was going to see the first Jackass movie.
It was pretty great.
I went with one of my best friends at the time. I mean, that movie came out, God, what year is that? Jackass came out in 2000, 2001, it looks like.
Wow, I'm in high school.
I was way too young to be going to the movie theater to watch that. I'll certainly say that. But I went with one of my best friends at the time and his dad, and I feel like another friend. And then as we're in the theater, my dad shows up with my sister and one of her friends. And we're like,
Old Joe
whoops.
Fisher the
Oh.
second.
Yeah, it was one of those like, oh, didn't expect you to see.
It's a little Spider-Man meme.
yeah,
like,
like,
hey,
oh,
hey.
yeah.
There's a bunch of Joe Fishers in this building right now.
By the way, yeah, we're seeing this movie, but wait, what are you doing here? Why did you bring my sister? And so they sat in the row right in front of us, packed theater. I have never been in a theater that was laughing harder, louder in my life. Like that was, I'll always remember that moment, especially when they showed up. It was like, oh, this is awkward. I don't know if any of us should be here right now, but we'll just roll with this. And then, yeah, the whole entire movie, just fantastic.
The Athletic came out with an anonymous poll of thoughts of players in baseball. And we'll start real quick with who is the best player in baseball. 102 votes anonymously. Shohei Ohtani at 46%. Ronald Acuna Jr. at 26.5%.
Before you scroll, have you looked at the most overrated player?
I have.
Okay, damn it. I was going to try and have you guess.
Well, I saw it this morning before
All right,
you mentioned
all right.
it. I wasn't thinking of doing it for the show, but you mentioned it, and I was like, all right, I'm in.
Yeah, I was going to have you try and guess, like take 3 guesses because you have commented on this player.
Well,
but-
number 2, I would have probably chosen number 1. I was surprised that number 1 was number 1.
so do we dive into that now?
No. I want to start real quick. Who's the best player in baseball? Shohei at 46.
Adley Rutschman 2, Gunnar Henderson 3,
Acuna at 2
Corbin
with
Burnes
26.5. Mookie Betts and Aaron Judge tied at 8.8%. Mike Trout on the list.
I mean,
I feel like that's guys saying if he's healthy, he is the best player in baseball.
well, the best
If he's
ability
healthy, yes.
is availability, my friends.
Agreed,
all right?
agreed. But I just want to give you an update that Mike Trout is still considered by a lot of guys in the league as one of the best players in baseball.
No, that is a lot of his peers giving him respect. I
Yeah.
think is a very high marker. You're right.
Yeah, I mean, he is a future Hall of Famer no matter what else happens. But let's get to the goods. Let's get to the goods.
Let's trash, guys.
The most overrated player in baseball. And what's funny about this when I look at this, so I play fantasy. Am I the only guy here that plays fantasy?
I believe
Baseball?
so.
Yeah, I
Fantasy
believe
baseball?
so.
Yeah. You guys do fantasy football, right?
Yes.
No.
Yeah.
I
You don't anymore?
I do no fantasy sports whatsoever. I retired from my hockey league after 2 or 3 seasons. It is, yeah, I'm done with fantasy sports. I
So-
think I've hung up my my jersey in the rafters.
So I am the only fantasy baseball guy. And the only reason I mentioned that is because the guy on this list that's number 1 by a large margin is somebody that I have on my list of do not touch.
Do we want to start from 5 and go to 1
Sure.
on this? So
I would
start
love
with
it.
5th on the list, which let's see here.
5th
1,
on the list
2,
hurts.
3, 4. And this is a tie for 5th.
5th on
Or
the
a tie
list.
for 4th, I guess.
One of the tie for 4, and the loser is the 5th. This hurts because when Voldemort sat in the chair that you sit in, Joe, I spent years propping this guy up, saying this guy is a future ace. This guy is going to be phenomenal. He's in the best organization in baseball you could be in. Homegrown. I love him. I love his stuff. He's going to be wonderful. And I was really wrong.
Well, he's doing much better for the team he's on this year than he did at the second half of last year.
Not doing what he's supposed to be doing.
God. And that is Jack Flaherty.
It is shocking to me that Jack Flaherty, and this is why I think I wasn't wrong in believing that Jack Flaherty was a future superstar Cy Young starting pitcher. Jack Flaherty landed on this list of one of the most overrated players in baseball. That just goes to show you that he was supposed to be great. And he's just not, unfortunately. And shame on me. Kudos to Voldemort and kudos to the Cardinals for cutting bait.
Well, and that, I mean, is he great? No. Is he a serviceable starting pitcher for a team? Yes.
Bullpen.
No, he's got a 3.22 ERA this year.
Out of the bullpen.
He's started 12 games. I don't know. I haven't caught many Tigers games, so I don't know if they moved him over or not. But, I mean, listen, I'm still miffed about the trade last year that the Orioles made for him and him doing literally nothing for us. Couldn't even play in the playoffs.
And I think I sat here and was like, Flaherty, oh, good pickup. Like that guy.
Yeah, well, bite my tongue because I was like, man, why didn't we get Giolito?
Sorry, I got to pull back the bullpen thing. I was thinking of Luke Weaver. I was thinking of Luke Weaver, who's now in the bullpen for the Yankees.
I was gonna say, I didn't know if they did make that move or not.
But it shocks me that Jack Flaherty, a starter for the Detroit Tigers, lands on this list in the top 5 because the rest of the guys make sense.
The guy that he tied with at 4th. Do you want to play a little sounder, a little drop for this one?
Yeah, I think I got it. Where is it?
Scrolling, zoom, enhance, zoom, enhance, zoom, enhance. Come on, Patrick, you gotta clean up the drop board or something or figure it out.
Oh, it's red right here.
Down goes Anderson! Down goes Anderson!
Tim Anderson tied with Jack Flaherty at 5% of the votes.
Look, the fall of Tim Anderson is absolutely insane. This guy won 2 batting titles in a row on White Sox teams that were growing to be something. And the year going into this year where they really thought they were going to be decent, they decide to let him go, and they're the worst team in baseball. It is shocking to me, the fall of Tim Anderson. A 2-time batting champ, somebody who had personality, somebody who could be marketed in baseball, a black American playing shortstop in baseball. Check,
in
check,
Chicago.
check. I love this guy. Put him on billboards. And now he's tied for the 4th most overrated player in baseball. And he's got like a $1.3 million deal in Miami.
And he's got a 1.88 average. And he doesn't even have a over 300 on base percentage at 221.
How does that happen?
Well, you play for the Marlins. That will definitely take some wind out of your sails in 2024. I mean, that's why I don't know if anybody really pays attention to him now, obviously, with him being on the Marlins. So as far as him being overrated, and that's where the next guy, not the next guy exactly, actually the second guy on this list, but the next one on this list, I mean, I don't think. Maybe it was a former team aspect where people still have this reputation of him because of what he did, whether it was legal or not on the field. But it's kind of weird. I don't really think of him as much anymore on this new team, and that's Carlos Correa.
I mean, Correa is Tim Anderson on steroids, basically. Like Carlos Correa,
or with a trash can.
when he was on Houston, Carlos Correa looked like the next A-Rod, the next Jeter, the next Nomar, the next great shortstop. I used to get in arguments with friends, who's the better defensive shortstop, Frankie Lindor or Carlos Correa? Frankie was on Cleveland at the time. Obviously, my bias kicked in, and I said it's Frankie. And they would say it's Carlos Correa, and I had to swallow and say, like, you're not wrong. Like, I think we're splitting hairs here. And he was also a phenomenal hitter. And it was so weird, his departure from Houston. Take away the trash can stuff. Like, let's just talk about players. His departure from Houston, the Giants were ready to throw the bag at him. He failed a physical. And they said, whoop, we're good. And then Minnesota said, hey, we got some money to spend. We'll throw the bag at him. And they did. And boy, he's still a really solid defensive player, but that hitting is just gone.
And I think that's where you get the overrated aspect. 14th highest paid player in the majors, and you're giving me 5 home runs and 27 RBIs at this point in the season.
And what's his on-base percentage?
338.
Yeah. What's his batting average? 245?
270, but it
that's
wasn't.
not bad.
I mean, last year wasn't great. 230 in 135 games. He got 18 home runs, 65 RBIs. I mean, since he got to Minnesota, he hasn't had more than 65 RBIs. That's not acceptable.
That's not what you pay for.
No.
I mean, do you have his advanced stats? Is there OPS plus on there? Because that shows a little bit more of like how valuable his at bats are.
This year, 126.
Yeah, it's not bad, but that's not worth the money.
That's
that
not
they're paying
14th
him.
best, 14th highest paid player in the MLB.
No.
Worthy.
I'll cut in on you, Joe, here. Number 2 should probably be number 1, especially for the money he makes.
And again, I understand from the money he makes, but I feel like he has been properly rated from an overall like public standpoint, how people feel about it.
Right. So actually, he's not this underrated because he's properly rated.
I feel
he
like
shouldn't be on this list.
No, because I feel
we
like
all know he's terrible.
Yes, exactly.
That's the great Anthony Rendon.
Yes, like I feel like we do nothing but crap on him.
Well, he's terrible.
Yeah,
He got injured again.
So I feel like him being overrated, it's like, no, I don't think anybody's overrating him at that point. I think he just makes way too much money.
What if Major League Baseball players anonymously are saying that this overrated guy is actually overrated for being overrated? What if they think he's actually good?
Well, he was at the beginning of his
I'm
career.
just joking. They don't think that. This guy sucks.
I was like, wait, what?
Is there anybody in baseball you hate more than Anthony Rendon?
Well,
right now?
and this maybe makes me wonder, like, again, with this being MLB players, like maybe just dudes around the league are super sour that he's making this much being that big of a D-bag.
I mean, you play 40 games a year and you make that much money and then you double down on it and say, I don't love baseball.
I didn't say I don't love baseball. It's just, you just said it's not my number one priority.
Yeah, it's not my number one priority. It's a
job.
job. Like that rubs guys the wrong way. Like if one of the anonymous players on this poll is Chris Taylor for the Dodgers, or one of the is Bryson Stott for the Phillies, or Victor Robles for the Nationals, when they do this. If it's one of those guys that's like a fringe player trying to fight it, I think Anthony Rendon saying baseball's not my number one priority would piss them off. A Dylan Moore. Dylan Moore is like, yo, dude, I'm fighting every day to try to make a roster, and baseball's not your number one priority? I mean, yeah, my number one priority is my family and my health and God to those that believe, but like baseball's your thing. I have to imagine it pisses people off.
I think anybody that's a professional athlete at that level too. I mean, there's so many, like you said, so many fringe guys, but just when there's so many other grinders making 40 grand out there, come on. Like, you can't publicly state those things. You've got such a privilege in your life, and your job is different than your guys' jobs, than my job. It's just a different job.
It's the truth. And number 1, we'll tell you when we come back. That's Joe Fisher. Schultze on the 1s and 2s. I'm Patrick Harris, 1080 The Fan.
We're feeling
Coming up in 10 minutes, we'll get to fair or foul, everybody's favorite. But I want to touch just a little bit. The London series was kind of fun.
McCullen was right. Yeah.
London series was a little fun, right? Bryce Harper hitting home runs. VAR on things that people don't know the rules on.
They had VAR for the London games.
Yeah, there was a hit by pitch. There was a player for the Phillies who felt he got hit on the foot and went to first, and it went to instant replay, and they said he was not hit, and the entire broadcast team is like, nobody here in England knows what's going on. They are so confused why this game is.
Nobody had an expert in their booth from there.
I'm sure they all.
No,
thought
I mean
they
like
were,
the fans in the stadium.
Oh, gotcha.
I'm sure they all thought they were going to a cricket match.
But Bryce Harper was the real deal. So thanks, Bryce, for holding down the old USA.
By the way,
across the pond,
we did tease something. Should we just say who the most underrated player or overrated player is?
It's not Bryce Harper.
No.
Thank God, because as somebody who hated Bryce Harper on this show for almost a decade, I've come around. Bryce Harper. I visit your shrine at church.
I apologize profusely.
Massively. Like, thank you for playing baseball. And I don't root for the Phillies. I don't want the Phillies to win, but I hope you get a World Series because thank you.
One of your favorite
baseball.
players voted the most overrated player. You love this guy.
I love it.
I can't believe it.
I mean, Miles Davis. I've been really into Stan Getz lately. Dave Brubeck is fantastic. Bill Evans
take 5
is
Dave
also
Brubeck.
great. Yeah, Bill Evans is also fantastic. I'm probably more of a Miles guy than a Coltrane guy.
Maybe some tiny boop squig shorterly.
But Charlie Mingus is also one of the greatest bass players of all time.
What about Mookie Kramer and the 8 Balls? That do it for you?
That does do it for me. Yeah, it gets me a little tight.
Jazz Chisholm.
Jazz Chisholm.
The Jazz references.
And it is an overwhelming, like, did Jazz, like, have sex with your mom? Did he pee in your Cheerios? Did he shoot your dog?
Maybe it was the MLB, the show cover that really miffed some guys.
It is astronomical how much the vote came in on Jazz Chisholm. A guy on a team that's not very good. He's not making buku dollars.
Do you know his full name?
No.
Josrado Prince Hermes Arrington Chisholm Jr.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's...
I mean, if you're a dad and that's your name and you have a kid, you're like, let's run it back.
I'm pretty sure it's the jealousy factor of him getting on MLB The Show over probably 50 other more qualified players. Because you look, I love that Baseball Reference does this. He
was flashy for a moment.
Yes, but then you look at the stats and the similarity scores of guys through age 25, their careers so far compared to, and this is Jazz Chisholm comparing to Ian Stewart, Jake Lamb, Keston Hiura, Pedro Alvarez, and Wilson Betemit. Let's go for Rookie of the Year Eric Hinsky way down on that list, who then ended up being a bench guy. No, Jazz is a decent MLB player.
I think Eric Hinsky played in like 3 World Series in a row.
Yeah.
For different teams.
As like a pinch runner.
Which is pretty rad.
What a
Not
life,
a pinch
right?
runner, pinch hitter.
Yes,
He was a big boy.
You're right. He was a big boy.
The Baseball Reference comparison is telling, and I think that's exactly why not exactly why. I think the MLB The Show factor, the flashiness, and not really just. I mean, he's just another guy, a jag, as they say.
I have to imagine. Though that Chisholm has some personality flaws too. You know, he's an infield guy. So if you're standing on second, you're standing on first, you're standing on third, or he's on first or second or third, and he talks to guys, and guys are just like, Anthony Rendon sucks, but man, he is not you.
I would have just liked to be in that clubhouse if that's when he found this out, and read this article or saw this headline or somebody told him.
Yeah, like what are his teammates like? They're like, couple dudes walk over there like, sorry, man, dude, you're not a douchebag. And then a couple of people over there are like, oh, no, I didn't see it. Just trying to work on getting ready for today.
I mean, just making some offhand comments like, dude.
One of the votes is from a Marlin player.
Don't listen to him, man. Hey, just don't listen to him. And he's like,
what are you
talking about?
But then there's a bunch of people that are just like, oh, no, I didn't see anything.
Also, by the way, he has played in no more than 124 games in a season. Then 60, 97, 64. And that does not include the pandemic-shortened season. He played in 21 games that year.
We'll
So
get
dude
a-
can't even stay on the field.
And I didn't read the article, the athletic article, but just glancing at this one Bleacher Report where they reference it, they said that there weren't any major quotables, but one player questioned Chisholm being the cover athlete for MLB The Show in 2023. So if that's one player, like we were saying, I believe that might be the sentiment for probably a few other players.
Other players receiving votes were Yordan Alvarez, you're an idiot, Javier Baez, Chris
Who
Bryant,
just went on to the IL today.
Emmanuel Clase, you're an idiot, Garrett Cole, you're an idiot, Rafael Devers, maybe, Adolis Garcia, interesting conversation,
Not
Alex
having a great
Manoah,
year.
Carlos Rodon, Julio Rodriguez, you're an idiot, Juan Soto got a vote, you're a bigger idiot,
Julio might be a little overrated.
Giancarlo, Spencer Strider, you're an idiot. Marcus Stroman, Alex Verdugo, Yoshinobu Yamamoto, hard to tell, and Christian Yelich,
Oh, Yelich.
who at the trade deadline, if I'm the Seattle Mariners, what do you want?
I know we got a break, so
I'll take Christian Yelich.
I'm going to leave it on this. Julio Rodriguez, a little overrated.
Boom!
Wow.
All right, when we come back, it is everyone's
And I leave
favorite
with
fair
that.
or foul, but first, there's Schultze with sports.
Now, from the Fan Sports Desk, a Sports Center update on 1080 The Fan.
First on the Fan, it's U.S. Open week. Huge news out of Pinehurst today regarding the tournament. Number 8 golfer in the world, Jon Rahm, withdrawing from the Open because of an infected sore on his foot. No NBA Finals action tonight, but the Boston Celtics got some bad news as center Kristaps Porzingis diagnosed with a rare leg injury. Going to make his availability questionable for Game 3 against the Mavericks tomorrow. Former Oregon Duck and current New York Liberty star Sabrina Ionescu was officially selected as a member of Team USA. Means she's going to be in the Paris Olympics this summer. And the Seattle Mariners going for their third win in a row, second against the Chicago White Sox as they host them in Seattle up at T-Mobile Park going into the bottom of the 7th inning. They are still down 3-2 to Chicago. You got 9-1-2 coming up in the bottom. Ryan Bliss, J.P. Crawford, and Josh Rojas see if they can tie it up. More sports scores and stories in 30 minutes. I'm Schulte at the 1080 The Fan Sports Desk. Listen live or on demand on the Odyssey app, the Fan's desktop player, or tell your smart speaker to play 1080 The Fan.
The Fan Merch Locker is now open with shirts from the fan shows and hosts you love. Get yours now at 1080thefan.com.
Diabetes, high blood pressure, anxiety meds, everyone's on them. If you're a 50-year-old male, maybe a bit porky, and you may even have type 2 diabetes, $1 million of term insurance may only cost you about $200 a month. Call
Lenny Randall gets down on his hands and knees and blows on it like a curler, and it goes foul.
And what our distinguished hosts think about the stories that popped up around the big leagues.
But he got down on his hands and knees and literally blew the ball across the foul line.
This is Fair or Foul on the Hot Corner on 1080 The Fan.
This is Fair or Foul. We do it every single Tuesday at the bottom of the 8 o'clock hour. We're a little behind it, so I'd like to let this baby breathe, as I always like to let this baby breathe. So without further ado, we'll turn it over to our fantastic producer, Schultz.
Appreciate it, you guys. Try to move it along. I will say I want to eat crow really quickly on my question about Mitch Garver last week, saying, hey, it's time to say uncle and give up on Mitch Garver for the Seattle Mariners.
And I said it can't get much worse.
And you were right, Joe. You were right, because since then, he is hitting a whopping 278, 458 on base percentage, slugging of over 700. He's got 2 home runs, 6 ribbies. He's been hitting a bunch of doubles. And his at-bats are really good. Lots of walks in there as well.
Because he caught that one game.
That one
game. He caught it, and it turned him around.
He's
Service, Manager of the Year.
He told Scott Service that he hits better when he's catching, and he's been in all the catchers' meetings.
No way. Manager of the Year is Stephen Voigt.
Stephen Vogt.
There's no way he's not winning it.
John Voight?
No kidding. Yeah, John Voight's kid. I'm just kidding. Not related at all.
Stephen Vogt is winning that award.
Yeah, I agree. He was gonna be the bench coach if in Seattle if he did not take the Cleveland
Jose
Indians
Ramirez
job.
is gonna hit 200 RBIs.
Possibly.
Yeah.
What about Matt Quattaro, the Royals manager?
Oh, him and Pedro Grifol can just go have dinner together. Who cares about them? Nobody literally knows who they are.
I do.
I do.
What's the question? Did we ask it?
No, we have not, actually. I was just about to transition to somebody that we all know who they are, is the New York freaking Yankees, right?
Yep.
We've been talking about it. Eaton Crow, you have, Patrick, about how amazing that they've been this year compared to how good we all thought they were going to be, which wasn't amazing. So this one shocked me, you guys. Just seeing their pitching numbers this good. So fair or foul, the New York Yankees lead the league in earned run average. Fair or foul?
Luis Gil has a very good
he's
ERA.
great.
Whatever.
He did not get to Christy Mathewson because I watched his game on Sunday, and he did not get to 6 innings, no runs, 5 hits, and 10 Ks or whatever it was. He had 8 starts in a row and tied Fernando Valenzuela, but did not tie Christy Mathewson on the next round. That kid is amazing.
Best ERA. I know the Royals and Red Sox were near the top there for a while.
I mean, Seth Lugo's been absolutely phenomenal. So is Tanner Houck.
I'm going to say foul and say that it's still one of those two teams. But, I mean, Stroman, Rodon, Luis Gil, Clay Holmes. There's a chance that they may have overtaken them.
Yeah, I think this is an interesting question. Like Gil and Stroman have been really good, and Holmes and that bullpen has been really good. Rodon's been okay. Nestor Cortez has not been okay.
No.
What's entirely scary is that we're asking if it's the number 1 team, and we're like, oh, I don't know. And they're about to get Garrett Cole back, who has looked really good in the minors, and that is terrifying. I'll take the opposite of Joe. I'll say fair. I know Nestor Cortez hasn't had a great year, but Gil and Stroman is not going real deep in games. He's not striking out guys, but he's not giving up runs. And that's the name of the game in baseball. This ain't fantasy. This is baseball.
Yeah, you nailed it, Patrick. It is fair. Sorry, Joe. The Yankees are in first place.
Blows my mind.
It's crazy with a 2.85 ERA over the
Garrett Cole
over the second place Phillies, and that was kind of one of the reasons why I thought of this. Is like they are coming back like with the best pitcher in baseball soon after already pitching above their value. You guys missed one name in there. I don't know what his ERA is right now, but Clark Schmidt's been holding it down for the Yankees as well.
This absolutely blows my mind. Again, I know I've said it twice, and I'm going to say it a third time because it's that serious. Garrett Cole has had 2 minor league starts. He gave up a home run the other night, but he's given up 2 runs and struck out 12 guys in 2 games. Garrett Cole might come back, and if he does Garrett Cole things, could win a Cy Young, and he hasn't pitched yet, and it's June 11th.
And to think that the Yankees are just going to get swept by the Orioles in the playoffs, that's crazy, man.
I mean, I still got a lot of problems with the Yankees. You know, like I know Joe's just giving shade, and I think that's fun, but I still got a lot of problems with the Yankees. But if Cole comes back, I still don't trust their offense. Outside of Soto and Judge, I still don't trust that offense. But that pitching staff, boy, oof. If Cole is Garrett Cole, ooh, ouch, look out.
Speaking of Joe's Orioles, they are in third place right now, 3.1 ERA in all of baseball. So good for you guys. That would be a crazy playoff series. You were not wrong. All right, fair or foul number 2. Let's keep it Yankees related, but it's got to be Aaron Judge, right? Because he has been the story, other than Juan Soto, of the Yankees. It's either one or two of those guys that you're talking about. He had an amazing May, 16 home runs, 330-plus batting average. And he has a lot of home runs to this point so far. But I wanted to go back and look at his 2022 season when he hit 62. So fair or foul, guys, Aaron Judge has more bombs than he did on this date in 2022 when he hit 62 home runs.
Ooh.
Fair or foul?
So
That's
we're
a good
asking.
question.
So the question is, did he have more home runs in 22 than he does now? Not more home runs now than he did.
He
in
has
22.
more home runs now than he did. So it would be fair if he has more home runs
now
today,
Okay.
June 11th, 2024.
Okay. You want me to go, Joe?
I'll
go.
I'm waffling.
I will say foul, and I will say foul because I think Judge has been on a torrid pace of late, and he missed some time. Now,
Mariners just
I don't remember in 2022 if Judge missed time in the beginning of the year, but I know he did this year. So I will say foul that he had more home runs at this point in 2022 than he does now. But Jesus Jesus Cristo. Every time, I said this last hour, every time Judge makes contact with the ball, contact, even if it goes into a double play, every time his bat hits the ball, there's a chance it's going out.
I'm going to say foul as well, just because...
it's Barry Bonds-esque.
Because the start was slow this year. That's what I'm going to say, is that he... I'm trying to recall that 2022, if it was a full sustained, if it was a hot start and then kind of tapered off, but I don't remember him starting off as slow as he did this year, so that's why I'm going to go foul on this one.
Yeah, guys, he actually, on June 11th, 2022, it was a 2-home run day for him that day.
Of course it was.
And he totaled 24 home runs at that point of the season. This season, 25 as of today. And check this out.
So
remember, I know you just talked about a slower start or some missed games at the beginning of this year.
He was hurt this year.
And remember, at the end of the 2022 season, it was like a 8 to
That's
12
right.
game gap before he actually hit his 60.
He went like 2 weeks without hitting home run. I was working prime time.
Yeah.
I was working prime time with the boys as we were moving into here.
Yeah.
And I think he hit 62 while we were there. Or he hit, I think he hit 61 while we were on the air. And we talked about the entire time, like, that's got to feel good because he hasn't hit one in like 2 weeks. Good call, Schultze. Good call.
It just makes me wonder
Great
if
fair
he
foul.
could hit 70 this year. If he's on it, if he continues to stay hot, that is a legitimate possibility, at least according to these numbers.
Again, that stature, like the size that he is, the way he swings the bat. I never loved the way Judge swung the bat. And now that I watch him, it's starting to get a little Griffey-esque. A little like, boy, when you swing, Pujols, Manny Ramirez, Albert Pujols, Ken Griffey Jr., those are some of the best swings I've ever seen in my life. Judge is now getting to a point when he starts to go, I'm kind of like, I want to watch that.
That was just crazy. Just crazy to think about. All right, guys, fair or foul number 3. Eesh. The Philadelphia Phillies losing catcher JT Realmuto. They are putting him down with a knee injury.
They're putting him down?
No,
He's dead?
They're putting him down, like putting him on the injured
Oh my God,
list.
he's dead.
Yeah, I said that incorrectly. My
Sorry,
bad.
JT.
Yeah, sorry, JT. No, he is down on the injury list with knee surgery, fixing a significant issue that he's been dealing with for months, apparently. They don't know how long he's going to be out, but obviously the Phillies, one of the best teams in baseball to this point. Fair or foul, they will trade for Rockies catcher Elias Diaz after Real Muto's injury?
I'm going to say foul. I'm going to say there is a team that is in that third place to wild card-ish range that feels like they can value from bringing him to the team a little bit more as, is that Jonah Heim behind the plate that just got decked with a ball right in his balls? Yeah, that looked like that hurt. That looked like that got the kind of gooch area there. I'm going to say foul, that a team that is kind of in that middling area is going to try and trade for him to give them a bolster at that position. Because, I mean, the Phillies, we'll see how long Real Muto's out for, but I don't think it's important to have a good catcher consistently, but I don't know if they're going to essentially need a fill-in catcher like that.
I'll piggyback Joe on this, but for very different reasons. I think the Phillies clubhouse right now is firing. These guys around each other, I think the culture in that clubhouse is so important right now. And let's say Real Muto, let's say he misses 8 weeks, okay? That means he comes back in mid-late August. But Nick Castellanos has not been good this year, and everyone in that clubhouse loves him. Bryson Stott is one of the hardest outs to get in baseball. Brandon Marsh. That is a culture clubhouse.
Alec Boehm,
Alec
homegrown, but, team grown.
It reminds me of Red Sox 03 to 08. That's a culture clubhouse. And I think Real Muto is one of the more silent guys because of Trey Turner's contract, Bryce Harper being Bryce, Zach Wheeler, Matchbox 20 lead singer Rob Thomas leading that team. I think the loss of Real Muto is more of a just, hold on, guys. We're gonna be okay. Just wait it out, and we'll be okay.
They're saying it's going to be about a month that he'll be out. Again, we'll see how it goes. If the surgery is, all good and he's feeling good after a month or so.
And worst case scenario, if he's out 2 months, I still love this Phillies team. Schwarber, they are so much Philly right now.
And with the Braves and how they're looking, it's kind of like
they're kind of fading. You have time.
Yeah.
The Mets suck. The Marlins suck. The Nationals are pesky, but this is you. The Cubs are fading. No one believes in the Brewers. The Dodgers are the Dodgers, but do you believe in the Giants, the Padres, the Diamondbacks? Hold pat.
Yep.
We'll be okay.
All right, guys, final fair or foul regarding my Seattle Mariners, who just took a lead, by the way. Our Seattle Mariners. Cal Raleigh, his second double of the game, scores 2 runs, including Julio Rodriguez on a big play at the plate, and that was the go-ahead run. Hopefully they can hold on. They lead the White Sox 4-3. Fair or foul, guys, they will trade one of their top prospects by the deadline on July 31st. Owner John Stanton said that he is going to give some cash to Jerry Dipoto to try to work with Justin Hollander, their GM, and President Jerry Dipoto. Yeah, we'll see if that's actually true, because we heard that going up to last offseason and then heard reasons why they weren't going to. They need a bat, regardless of how much better Mitch Garver plays. So fair or foul, guys, the way to do that is to trade a couple of their top prospects. They just had to bring Locklear up to give France a spell because he broke his heel. Maybe that's a chance for him to show off, and then they can trade him. I don't know. What do you guys think?
Dylan Moore on the paternity list.
Yes,
congratulations to Dilmo.
Yeah, well, the biggest mistake was the owner saying, Jerry, we'll give you a little bit of a leash here to make a move, and Jerry can't help himself. So, he's absolutely going to make a move and make a trade midseason. Because that's also what he loves to do, is just trade all the damn time. And whether it's for a big bat, mediocre bat, I mean, it's probably going to be mediocre because it seems like all his moves are just kind of middling, not big moves in the season.
So right. You're so right.
And so it's just, he's going to do something, whether it's a huge bat. No, I don't think it's going to be there. It's going to be God knows who, but it's going to be in that middle tier range. And again, if they're giving him the leash and giving him money to do so, he's going to do it.
Yeah, I think Joe's spot on to this, and I'll jump on it a little bit as well. I've been saying this for the last couple weeks whenever this comes up, because the Mariners' offense has been atrocious. Although once they fired some guys and shuffled some things around, the offense has been a little bit better.
Yeah,
has been a little bit better. Julio is hitting better, etc. Cal is the big dump is the starting
He's
catcher
on.
for the American League at the All-Star game, in my opinion. But I think it all boils down to who is available. And I don't know how many guys are available. And I think it's an outfield bat is what you're looking for. Is Adolis Garcia available for Texas? I don't know.
No.
Is a Rosarena available?
Maybe Taylor Ward. for the
Probably, but what does he
Angels?
cost? Taylor Ward's available. Will they trade into the division?
No.
What's it cost? I think we're gonna look back at the trade deadline, and Jordan, you're gonna bitch and moan about the Mariners doing nothing, and I'm gonna fight back on you saying that there isn't somebody available. Now, if the Brewers were what I thought they were gonna be, which is the third, maybe fourth best team in that division, but they're currently leading by like 4 games, I would have loved to see Christian Yelich, because I think you could have got him for cheap. But if they still keep playing in first, he's not available. So how many outfielders are truly available in trade? And that's where I think the bats are needed the most for the Mariners. And so I don't think it'll happen. And not because of their fault, but because there's just nobody there that's worth it. You got Brian Wu, all things considering, hoping the MRI turns out fine, and Bryce Miller, Emerson Hancock. Those are great trade pieces, but I don't know if those guys are worth anybody on the market.
That's fair. I mean, I do hope that they make a move. I've heard Vladimir Guerrero Jr., and so if he's traded to like the Cubs and the Mariners aren't in on him, I will be an upset Mariners.
And next week we'll talk about Mets and Blue Jays players if they're worth being traded. We'll do that next week.
Cool.
That is Fair or Foul. We do it every single Tuesday at the bottom of the 8 o'clock hour. We come back, we'll mail this bad boy in. Hot Corner, today the Fan.
It's the Vancouver Ford text line.
Plenty of time.
right now. The Rays suck.
Yeah, they're not good anymore.
Isn't that wild?
I mean, I wonder if they're just going to be like, look, let's just get through this year and get some of our arms back.
That's
and
what I feel
then
like.
We're going to try and go
McClanahan,
for it.
Springs.
The vibes are weird this year.
It's so strange. I got a really good buddy of mine who's from Tampa. He's a diehard Rays fan. We're in a fantasy league together. Great dude. And we talk Rays all the time, and I end up watching a ton of Rays games because he's a bartender at a bar that I frequent. And it's so wild talking to him because he's just like, yo, this guy's good. This guy's great. This guy's not good. Pitcher comes in, and he's like, God, I hate this situation for him. So he's like a true fan. Like he knows what's going on. Is there a team in baseball that is bad now because of a reason worse than the Rays? Do you know why the Rays are bad?
Because half their good pitchers, their arms fell off.
And
No.
Wander Franco.
The
being a
Rays are
creep.
bad because the one guy they decided to spend money on is not allowed to be in the United States of America.
I was going to say is a disgusting POS.
Like, isn't that insane? Like, when Trevor Bauer goes through stuff, when Marcelo Zuna goes through stuff, you kind of deal with it. But Wander Franco might tank the Rays for 3-4 years.
It's possible, at least this year.
They're not going to have to pay him.
Again, just
But that was an up-and-coming top shortstop in baseball.
Yeah, just get your arms back and then see what you can do next year. But next year might be the year where it's like, all right, clean house. Let's start over.
If you're a Rangers fan, don't turn on the TV as they have gone back to back to back.
Or maybe do turn on the TV because I can't imagine they can hit another home run in this
Yeah,
inning.
Shohei went deep, Freeman went deep, and Hernandez went deep in the sixth. It's 12-1 over Texas. So if you're a Tejas fan, don't
I want
do
to talk
that.
about weird vibes, Texas.
When we come back next week, let's get into a little bit of teams that are bad with players that might trade. Talking to you, Toronto and the Mets. So we'll get into all that kind of stuff. But that's it for us tonight. That's Joe Fisher, Jordan Schultze behind the glass. I'm Patrick Harris. Go do something I would do.
Don't miss the Outdoor Living and Deck Expo at Par Lumber in West